ISIS and the acts of terrorism, the horrific, barbarous, disgusting terrorism, is really catalyzing a trend toward the Republican candidates in the midterm elections and away from the Democrats. One of the main things that politicians miss and voters miss in understanding the political system is that every issue has a predetermined and largely immutable partisan skew to it, that no amount of argumentation on one side or the other can affect one way or the other. Every issue has a built-in bias to it. Democrats will always win the issue of the elderly. Republicans will always win defense. Democrats will always win the environment. Republicans will always win balancing the budget. Democrats will almost always win education. Republicans will almost always win crime. Republicans will win terrorism. Democrats will win poverty. Each of these issues has a skew, one way or the other, that's been built up over a century of voters and administrations and observations. And they do not ever move unless enormous effort is applied. Sometimes they move, but it takes a gigantic effort. For example, the education issue. Bush spent his whole first campaign as president, his whole convention trying to win the education issue with his No Child Left Behind policy. He brought it up to a draw, but then it went back to the Democratic Party. Similarly, when I worked with Bill Clinton, we tried to win the crime issue by gun control, the Brady Bill, assault rifle ban, and 100,000 extra cops, and a federal death penalty. And we beat it to a draw, but then it went back to being a Republican issue. It's almost impossible to move that issue meter. And terrorism and national defense and national security are permanent Republican issues. And there's nothing Obama could do, even if he was good in the way he's leading the country, and God knows he's not, to turn that around. The more attention is given to that issue, the more the Democrats are going to be in trouble. And there's nothing they can do about it. They can't change that skew. Events drive this in a way that politicians really cannot control. Look at the 2004 elections to understand it. Kerry won every one of the issues except for terrorism, and Bush won nothing except terrorism. And the issue, when the debate was turned to domestic issues, elderly drugs under Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security Trust Fund, and other topics like that, Kerry won. But as long as the debate was on Iraq, or the war, or terrorism, or Al-Qaeda, Bush won. And actually, in the last week, the issue of terrorism exploded in Iraq, and that propelled Bush to a victory. So I think one of the major things at work here in the midterms is starting with the Russian invasion of Crimea, and then the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and then the ISIS rampaging throughout Iraq and through Syria, and the United States bombing Syria and Iraq. I think foreign policy and national security issues have obviously come to the fore. And there's nothing Obama can do about it. He can't, make a great speech about climate change and get everybody to focus on it. The issue suggests itself. Possibly Ebola could derail it, and that's not an issue that has a skew to it at this point. But at the moment, the Republican edge, the wind at the back of the Republican candidates, I think, is due to the focus on national security issues as October opens. Tomorrow I'll go through in the video the state-by-state assessment of our chances of winning the Senate. Thanks for watching.